Starting.com and make sure that you are never left stuck on the pre-grid with Henry. Be smart and don't be like Henry.
Crab lines. Set to go. Cart's going on great. Flag is up. No, it's not. It's a full start. powerful shot of the brush.
Hey, what's up, Caleb?
What's up, Brandon?
You sound defeated. A long day at the office?
Yeah, got stuck at a cat food marketing meeting for like 3 hours. I don't know a thing about cat food, and I don't even work in marketing. And then I got sent on a coffee run like I was some sort of intern. Then at the end of the day, when I want to go get gas, I just realized everything is so darn expensive nowadays, man.
Yeah, you got that right.
Like, do you have any idea how much we're spending on Netflix?
That's like $20 a month.
Do you know how much we're spending on cable?
That's like $50 a month.
But you know what isn't expensive?
Tell me.
Kart Chaser Premium. For only $9.99 a month, you can watch all of the American karting action live from coast to coast. Subscribe and become a member today.
Paulie Massimino wins in KA. Paulie Massimino is a winner in OKN Stars.
Take your driving to the next level with one-on-one coaching from 2024 OKN Stars champion Paulie Massimino. Kart rental options are available if you'd like to keep yours at home, and drivers in all classes are welcome, from Briggs 206 to Mini to K100 and X30. With in-depth data analysis, onboard video footage review, and lead follow on-track sessions, each private coaching session will see you end as a more complete driver than when you started. Book your coaching session now.
Paulie Massimino wins the Wisconsin Grand Prix. James Overbeck on start number 2 gets win number 1 in OKN Stars.
On track or off, Brandon Jarsekrak Racing delivers elite performance. Led by 4-time Pro National Champion Brandon Jarsekrak, our team masters driver coaching, data-driven analysis, and mechanical precision at every national event. Contact us today at BrandonJarsekrackracing.com.
Gandraber, and Marco Longo. Your 31 driver is getting set to take the green flag. I'm not sure if Surgener, Gandraber, and Longo joined us here today, but that being said, on row number 1, it's Lemke on the inside, Jers on the outside, green flag in the air. We go racing in senior.
And start once more as Lemke makes his way up through 3. Leads the marching train around as they go 2 by 2. In fact, a little bit of 3 wide to the heart of the field. Lemke now goes back and forth for the race lead, though. Zerves had a send up through 5. Couldn't make it stick. Now gets back single file. Good start as well. From a couple of yards in the heart of the pack. Jers still tries to settle on in the top 3.
Yeah, side by side all throughout that middle of the pack as they continue to work their way through. As again, that gap up front, Lemke has about a car length over Braden Zerves. This kid has had a good weekend so far, and again, you see him in that Island Kart suit, just showing some pace early on in this one. Austin Jers, we talked about him earlier on in the weekend. The driver in third, he had a heartbreak here a year ago whenever we came here for the United States Pro Kart Series. Was leading the race in a chain failure, puts him out of contention. This is the first time we've seen this kid back in a go-kart ever since. He's been busy on the GT4 side of things, and he's making his return here this weekend at a home track at Badger Kart Club. Quinton McPherson, again, always a factor when you talk about Route 66 on his continued success over on the national scene, working with the likes of Ryan Norberg and the Awesome Performance Group that just won the Geo Cup here this past weekend. And a couple of other names. How about North in the 926 for the GFC team up here in the Midwest, finding himself right in the mix with some good pace. And again, another championship contender in Austin Olds finds himself well into the mix. Jers, a couple of mistakes out of him have brought everybody right back into play here, Justin.
Can't get a good line through 12, set him up to be vulnerable. Has resolved for 13, and Olds able to capitalize. Now already pointed a couple car lanes. Already a lot of mistakes there, but for the race lead, Zerves sends it again, turn 4, 1 car loads off, it's the GFC
That's
machine.
North off the racetrack, the 926, a little bit of contact going into turn number 5. That put him all out of shape. Dylan North going to get shuffled back, but how about Braden Zerves? What a move to go for the lead of the race here. Your new leader, and I believe the first time he's led some laps in 2025.
And now the problem's going to be, can he hold on? Lemke near contact going through 12 on the initial lunge. Remember, Lemke, multiple times a national champion, 18 times, 25 times, winning races in regional championship competition, keeping the pressure high, and just trying to force her to slip up here. Right now, that 909 machine seems very comfortable on corner exit, has a good amount of launch in terms of how things are in the gearing.
And here we go, one of the biggest talking points, right? The gear is again one thing as well. Talk about tire pressures, 15 laps, how quickly you're going to come to life. When are you going to, when are you going to get into that window? And so far, these two drivers up front have shown pace real early on. And again, another one of the Millwright Racing Incorporated machines finds himself third, and Quinton McPherson and finds himself within a good shot here. Austin Jers currently forward to Austin Olds. Again, driver that we talked about earlier on today, being in the championship fight here this weekend for the MPG Academy after a successful round number 3 when you looked over at Norway Motorsports Park. Olds stood on the top step of the podium, but the 931 currently sits in between him and a top 4 finishing spot. We'll see what Olds can do as he starts to apply the pressure on Jers.
And the tough thing's going to be just being able to keep up the consistency in the case of Olds. Lemke had some struggles in terms of finishing point totals for the last time out in the series. That kind of helped gather Olds' momentum to win that last final. So at this point, it's just, can he try and overcome what was a slow start in terms of finding speed and being able to get it to execute? Because we're talking with a couple of the team owners, it's been about, sometimes you come off the trailer perfect on speed. You're from the get-go in the top 5 in times. You know exactly where you need to be. Your baseline setup's on point. You just have to make the minute differences for the racetrack. Sometimes you just have to try and catch back up to it, and it becomes an entire session in the practices in the first place to get yourself back in the conversation. But Olds right now is doing a solid job maintaining his top 5, but he is losing ground right now to the 931 machine. Consistently is losing ground each of the straightaways, just that little extra bit each time.
Yeah, Cash Perkins also had some pretty good pace. How about the driver in his sophomore season now looking for a move? He's able to get it done on Austin Olds. Cash Perkins up into the top 5. And how about team owner as well? Jamie Siraki now finds himself currently sitting 7th. Home race for him, home operation himself. His son as well, Brandon Siraki Racing. It's actually his birthday this weekend. And a pass up front, pass for the lead. Brandon Lemke looking to go right back. And Jamie Siraki right on cue, able to go right by Austin Olds just on the exit of turn number 5 there. So Siraki up into 6th here. And again, Siraki has held on to the methodical sword here at Badger Kart Club for quite some time as well. The first winner of that first edition of that historical race that we had here at the club. Nonetheless, though, the battle for the lead starts to heat up a little bit. Jers with new life. McPherson as well, starting to get hot on the heels of Braden Zerves in the 909. Cross sticks in the air, halfway through the first heat race here in KA Senior.
Pressure still on Lemke, playing a low defensive line. That time for turn 4. Seems to be feeling the pressure. A bit of a send. Thurston now under attack. Jers able to get alongside for a moment. Lines back up. Has to reset. Had his opportunity to open things up through turn 5. Wasn't able to capitalize on the switchback for turn 6, and that's lost them all the ground again. And that's one of the major things about this type of track that picked up with the rhythmistic parts of it today. You have to be perfect on the send, like right there for 3rd spot. Get it done quick, or else you lose a lot of ground going back and forth.
A little bit of contact there, a little bit of love, if you will, between McPherson, Jers. I believe Perkins got the bad end of the stick there, lost a couple of time, a good bit of time. And now Siraki gets himself into the mix. How about Shane Reddy looking for a move into turn 1? Looks like he got clear on Austin Olds and on Perkins. So Reddy gets himself a couple of spots higher. McPherson tries to go again on Jers. And this battle in between Jers and McPherson starts to heat up here, Justin.
Yeah, this is a little bit too much if they want to contend for the podium spots right now. If McPherson wants a chance, he needs to reset, try and gather up. But the thing is, Siraki's quicker right now by a little bit. You have Perkins that's right there trying to capitalize. You have Olds that's trying to stop the bleeding here. So a lot of drivers that are feeling that extra sense of urgency, and McPherson is starting to fade a little bit more back, in fact, this lap, to the point where it's going to take a lot of work to close up the distance just to have a chance at the podium position. Siraki doing a great job lining things up to try and build up a run.
Urgency was one of the words that you used there that again, I find very interesting, right? With a weekend like this, you're going to see a lot of drivers make moves like we just saw there, right? Again, McPherson looking to go right back, and again, urgency has been the name of the game so far. It's championship weekend, right? Every point matters, every move matters, and you really cannot afford to make a mistake. This is huge for Austin Olds to try to go a spot better. Perkins to help McPherson work his way through, so the two of them shuffling for position. And again, they continue to battle here. McPherson just a downward slope. Unfortunately, here going to continue to defend from Olds, as now Dylan North now in the 926 looking to make a move, but Olds is really fallen down the timing charts. He's down in 8th now after we saw him further up inside of the top 5 earlier on today, Justin.
And that's how thin the margins are, is a couple tenths off the pole time, mind you. Put you outside the top 10. More sense. Now it's North, able to make his way on by through turn 5. Another move on Olds. Olds is just dropping like a stone, and there's not much he can do in the cart right now except try and go on for a ride and try and see what they can adjust for tomorrow here. Obviously, things not going to plan on the setup side as now things get set up with the 935 trying to find a way to peel up the 9.
Yeah, and again, I mean, we've had a lot of talk about, right, so far today, and one of the biggest things on the local scene here in the state of Wisconsin, right, a hotbed for karting in the Midwest. You talk about Road America, that's not too far away. That has a club scene that's growing. The Badger Kart Club, we've talked about races that are just over the 180s, right? That's a huge club scene with 30 to 40 drivers work their way per class out here to race, to be a part of the action here in Dousman, Wisconsin. And again, you have a lot of those drivers doing one-offs here this weekend. A lot of drivers that add a factor to whether championship fights to race weekends where they're not racing for points. They're only coming out here to race for hardware, to win on home soil, to put it on the top step of the podium, to make a name for themselves, if you will, right? So seeing them have, be a factor, have, throw a wrench at things, if you will. That's one of the interesting parts to me, and I think Austin Jers is playing that paper here this weekend. We talk about Dylan North, the paper he's playing so far as well in the 926 Girl in their program here in the Midwest with the GFC package and what they've done. So huge to see. And again, you're starting to see a lot of the youngsters, right? Cash Perkins, Shane Reddy having breakout weekends so far. And again, showing some pace after, we saw Perkins last weekend race at the United States Pro Kart Series. We saw Reddy as well make his first start on the national calendar. Had a flip in one of the heat races. But again, these two kids seem to be having a good time so far, putting themselves in the edge of the top 5.
Exactly what you need to do to start off the weekend right as more sends once again up in toward the front. Perkins yet again leapfrogging for the top 5 and getting right back to that point. But it's 2 laps to go, more importantly up at the front of the field. It's a 3-kart race. Jers is closed on up. You also have Zerbs all over the rear end. Again, they'll stand up through 4. One driver getting escorted off with their car having an issue as the rest of the field rumbles its way up to turn 10.
Yeah, 2 karts were off there. It looked like it could have been Oliver Gaffer and Charles Roque who found themselves close to each other on the racetrack. And indeed, those two are going to get shuffled down the timing pylon out of this race 2 laps too soon. But the battle up front, Braden Zerbs, Brandon Lemke, Austin Jers with, again, a wily old veteran in the 919 of Jamie Siraki with the fastest lap of the race, closing in 4th. We'll wait for the battle to kick off here. White flag in the air this time by. Lemke still leads, looking to gain a couple of more points as far as championship goes, and this is where we start to defend, and we're going to start to stack them and pack them here, Justin.
Trying to back things up at the bottom of the racetrack, hold back the draft. Zerbs over the rear end, trying to find a set on Lemke. Lemke hugs the inside of 5. Zerbs now resets, tries to get a bit of arc for the Rhino liner up through 7, 8, and 9 as they rumble their way to the middle portion of the racetrack. 4-kart battle. Siraki has been able to close on up to this 2. Will anybody have an opportunity to get a run for the start and finish line? Right now, Lemke's got a great amount of momentum for this middle sector for the final sector.
Yeah, he moves to the bottom as Zerbs goes a little wide there on exit. Austin Jers looking around the outside. This is good for Brandon Lemke. We're side by side further back, but the Wisconsin Wonder Kid takes victory in heat race number 1. And that's a good way to start off championship weekend as main contender, and Austin Olds fell back to 9th. And again, heading into it, a 71 points gap in between Olds and Lemke. And this is, again, a swing the way of Brandon Lemke in the 901 to take away heat race number 1. Braden Zerbs across the line second to Austin Jers, to Jamie Siraki and Cash Perkins. Your top 5. Quick commercial break from our side. We'll be right back with more racing action.
Champions aren't just born on the kart track. At SimShop, we deliver professional-grade simulators with the best performance-to-price ratio in the industry. Founded by racers who understand what you need, our SimMagic and Moza equipment is powerful enough for the pros, yet affordable for everyone. With unmatched customer support and a thriving community, we're your racing partner. Visit simshop.com today.
Are you ready to get behind the wheel? From Formula One to NASCAR and IndyCar, all the pros start here. For more information, check us out online at mcckarting.com or call us and go racing today.
Florida Kart Racers, you asked for it and we're going to bring it. Introducing Florida Karting Championship, FLKC, a brand new racing series coming to Florida in 2026.
206 junior, getting set to go out onto the racetrack, and they work their way out now. Jack Fieber, the driver second in the championship, now comes into the first heat race, I think provisionally leading. He's starting on the pole position alongside Theo Gaffer. Brady Shad, the driver who led coming into the weekend at 365, finds himself on row number 2 alongside Ethan Leroy.
Then it's Brandon Dousman who is starting in 5th. Colin Eddy starts off at 6th. Joseph Wilson in the 7th position. On the outside of row number 4 will be Alyssa Eddy as well, amongst some of your front runners.
Pearson Golseth and Tyler Katera on row number 5. Bartosz Baczynski on row number 6 alongside Evan Benoit. You go back to Piper Rudolph and Jana Lunsky on row number 7.
Then you have also Jude Lunsky back there with Declan Latham. Macy Muller also back there with Blake Carlson in 18th position amongst the drivers, setting things up as we double up for the final corners.
Yeah, Isaac Moshe, Case Reth, Gage Clevenger, Brooks Carlson, your 22-206 juniors that are getting set to take the green flag here for the first of our heat races on the day. A look at the championship points. Brady Shad led by 6 over Jack Fieber. I believe it swung his way, I think maybe by 4 points at the end of that first, after that qualifying session. That would have been 20 points his way. That being said, we go racing. Green flag in the air. 206 junior underway.
And a great start for the front runners as they go 2 by 2 off through turn 4, multiple rows deep. People were able to settle on down up front though, single file. And away now through 6, marching around the field. Shad already with a good start, looking to try and set something up along the inside, trying to poke things, stays along single file.
It's a good start up front for your 2 championship contenders. We'll see the game plan. The tone Shad wants to set already early on in this one. Everybody else slots into line. You go back to the 303 of Gaffer. Theo Gaffer, that is, with older brother Oliver racing as well, which actually just got off the track, and KE Senior, unfortunately, with a DNF at the end of it. But your top 3 already finding themselves bumper to bumper. Again, Shad, look over the shoulder, saw the 303 was right there. And again, you see a lot of this in 206 racing as well, right, Jackson, when you have these trains kind of start to form. And you see a lot of drivers kind of sit patient as this race continues to go on. Colin Eddy finding himself within a good start as well, putting himself what looks to be inside of the top 5, if I'm not mistaken here. If not, he's just right behind him, another one of the Burrell Art machines. And I believe, yeah, he is just further back outside of the top 5. Leroy, Domont all find themselves in this front group.
Domont, don't forget, is also in the championship battle here with how things have gone this season. There's an opportunity there if he's able to outrun everybody else. The tough thing is right now, the top 2 are just able to work together and cooperate to try and build a buffer over Gaffer and be able to settle things on. You can see just how much Shad's trying to make sure it's just the 2 of them. Gaffer has a lot of momentum though in that Kart to build up speed. That draft is so huge along that front straightaway to help things out, to close things up even with the 2 Kart teamed up.
And that'll be huge to see from that second group, right? We'll see how that draft effect kind of plays out for the 308 of Domont as he tries to close in with your top 3. And again, Leroy finds himself just right behind him right there. And Colin Eddy is really the first driver of the 399 who finds himself really in no man's land, right? Nothing, not much of a draft up front, not much of a push from behind as well. Wilson, Golseth, Benoit, and Alyssa Eddy, his younger sister, find themselves just further back on the edge of the top 10, looking for a little bit more. Here's those 2 drivers we talked about. Domont, the driver of the 308, putting himself in 4th with fellow Burrell Art, if you will, of Ricardo Kart right behind him. The 373 of Leroy that are currently lockstep, working together, pushing each other forward. And again, this is a huge difference, right, to what we just saw. You saw KE Senior very high, antsy, urgency to pass. And you see the difference as well, right? In this 206 junior class, you see a lot more patient driving, a little bit more time to breathe, right? It's a chess match from here on out, right? You're planning your race, seeing what you can do, and you're going to see a lot of that at Brady Shad. That driver in second, you control the race pretty much in front of you and behind you.
Yeah, at this point, if you try to rush things, you allow the chance for everybody else to gain up and join back in the conversation, especially in that middle sector where if you don't complete a pass immediately, you lose that opportunity. It's so critical to be able to be careful on your choices in these types of races here. And Shad is amongst those we've seen whenever we've seen him on the racetrack, on the level, who is able to plot and plan like this to be comfortable. There's a reason the top three have been able to pull away and stay comfortable with each other here in this race. They're able to just control things because they aren't rushing into the moves and rushing into a spot where I need to lead now. They know there's a 15-lap race.
Yeah, very long. Again, some of the longer heat races that we've seen all year with, again, you look at the lap times as well, under a minute. So this is huge, right? Gives you time to plan, gives you time to pretty much relax, right? I think more often than not, you're on grid, you want to get this race started, nerves are high, and then first two laps really kind of start to look around. All right, where am I on the racetrack? Where do I find myself with time? Where do I find myself with, where am I fast? Where am I not? Where can I learn a little bit more? Try a different line, etc. And these are all things that these drivers are kind of thinking about, right? Feeling in the kart as well. You start to think about adjustments, right? What am I going to do overnight to try and be better, to try to stay ahead of the track for tomorrow? And again, you kind of talk about the past couple of weeks here in Wisconsin. A lot of rain in the last 2 weeks that have brought the mosquitoes out. I know that's one of the biggest talking points, right? Walking into the paddock here this weekend and this morning. But luckily, the temperature looks pretty much clear for the rest of the weekend. But again, from what I heard, could have been a moist night, if you will, last night that a lot of drivers expected to have a green racetrack this morning. It's been normal up to this point, but again, you're seeing a little bit of everything, right? And these are all things that you think about coming into a weekend. How can I go fast? How can I stay fast? How can I go even faster? And those are talking points when we head into tomorrow morning, heat race number 2 in the main event.
I will say, to quickly touch upon the mosquito point, heard a lot of people saying they are pretty massive around here in Wisconsin. When I was down in Wisconsin last week, actually, for sports car racing action, the weather almost felt like it was Florida-esque in terms of some of the rain that came on in at that time with the way the storms impact with the Great Lakes.
I was just in Florida the past 4 days, and it rained every single day. Wanted to check out the new Universal Park, Epic Universe, and again, it rained every single day. So to hear that, right, that they've had a lot of rain, like you said, Florida-esque, that's crazy to hear from a state that's almost up north. And again, you got the lakes around, so this is huge. That, again, throws a factor into things, right? Makes testing maybe a little more harder when you look at weekends like this. But how about this battle further back? Looks like the second group starting to heat up a little bit. Alyssa Eddy just in the mix of it all. Everybody else working their way through. Benoit, Wilson, looks like Gulseth, maybe another one of the drivers in there. A little bit of wheel banging. Wilson, the driver, now stuck on the outside as a couple of moves. And everybody looking for a little bit of position here. I think Colin Eddy is the driver there side by side with his younger sister Alyssa Eddy as they continue to fight there. And again, we'll see how Dad's feeling, right? Watching his two kids going at it on the racetrack here.
Yeah, already seen a little bit of the hand signals to the back of the helmet there. You see them just signaling, hey, work with me, work together. Let's try and work as a unit to be able to gain a couple spots here instead of fighting hard against each other. We're halfway through this race. And that's the balancing act right now, is be able to close on the gaps and be able to reduce that by just settling back on down. Some of the other drivers just saying, you know what? I know you're faster than me. I'll let you on go, just like what we've seen up here with Dousman. Even with the point situation, recognizes speed there from some of the drivers here that are what they're able to do, like Roy. Just let them on go instead of pulling each other up and losing even more time and then potentially even more points to the air carts like Gulseth that are trying to close up to them.
I'll tell you another thing here, Justin, as well, right? We've seen how difficult it is to start on the outside here with turn number 1 with the way the layout is. So that could also be a strategy thing, right? Heading into heat race number 2. Again, these heat races are progressive, so that could just be Dousman putting himself in a better starting position for heat race number 2 tomorrow, right? Do you want to start on that inside? Do you want to start on that outside? We've seen how difficult it is to start on the outside here. Got a variety of different classes already this weekend, so this could be huge when you talk about, strategy base for Dousman. And again, looking for a championship. He has an outside shot, only 21 points back from Bieber and Shad. But that being said, right, he finds himself, not wanting to risk too much and seeing where he can learn, right? We talk about everything. Throughout the heat race, you're learning. You're feeling what the kart's doing. You feel it in your hands. You feel it in the seat. What do I need? What do I need more of? What do I need less of? Whether you're stuck, whether you're too free, a lot of different things. And it's hard to know at this racetrack, right? Because you have, again, the first couple of corners with the repave 3 years ago. The last two, we said it time and time again, right? The Rhino liner throughout those last two corners have thrown a wrench at things. But again, you want to be fast throughout the entirety of it. Those last two corners are just a little bit different, right, than the rest of the track.
Yeah, just how much grip you can carry around there, but better yet, how much speed. By the way, the race lead has made a swap. Shad said, you know what, our gap is already more than 2 seconds. May as well swap around and go for it. Comfortable opportunity to be able to control things here. Fever keeping close, though. Trying to see if there's a chance for a swap back to be able to take the lead right on back. They've built up the buffer to the rest of the field from third to fourth. Is around 6 seconds, mind you. Just dominating pace from your top two in this race. Now Shad just looking to try and hope that he's able to defend for another 4.5 laps or so.
Yeah, and that was really smart out of Shad there as well, right? You kind of think about championship, and again, it already swung the way of Fever here after qualifying, so he's looking to claw back just a little bit here, so this would be a good points haul in the heat race. That would be, if it finishes this way, 100 points his way, 90 points the way of Jack Fever, so that's a 10-point swing. We saw the same thing there as well in qualifying, right? A 10-point swing the way of Fever.
And that would put it exactly back to how it came into today. A 6-point advantage for Brady Shad if it was to stay that way. So it kind of puts it to a wash of how much points were lost in the qualifying equation of things from the 20 points for the pole in there with the system of 10. More traffic, here we go. Traffic playing a factor, checking them up.
Yeah, here we go. That's a 317 at Carlson. It looks like Brooks Carlson, the 22, just getting lapped, and Shad and Fever able to work their way through. No issues that time by. And again, you see it kind of like a pendulum swing, right? It goes the way of Fever. It comes back the way of Shad. Here, there, and again, it's looking to go back the way of Fever, looking for a move in a turn one. Fever back to the lead. And that corner especially, they're not losing too much time passing there, right? Their gap is still at 3 seconds. And again, they're losing a tenth, maybe even less than that, making those moves, going back and forth for position. They are going to lose a little bit of more time going side by side on the exit of turn number 5, which could bring more drivers into the mix here. Gaffer in the 303 finds himself with a good gap away from Leroy, from Golseth, Dousman as well. So Gaffer in the 303, we talked about him. Theo only finds himself 6 in the points. Not really within a shot for the championship, but again, this is huge as far as the race on the track goes. There goes Shad looking to go right on by.
Now send up the inside through 13. Good pass. Shad builds up a small bumper. Fever now having to reset, but 2 laps to go. Just 2 more times around to be able to set something up, and Fever has the chance to be able to go and pop his way alongside. Going to take some time here to recoil and reset, get back to the bumper of Shad to be able to pop up for a surprise.
And you see how smooth these two are on the steering wheel, right? Very minimal movements, just driving with some finesse almost for Brady Shad and for Jack Fever. And that's been the story all year long, right? When you look at their results, neither of them have really found themselves without a shot any weekend that they go into. Again, Shad, last time he was on the podium, I believe could have been at the opening round, and now he's going to start to defend here, looking to get back to winning ways. His last win was at the opening round at K1 Circuit Whiteland, and now they're going to go side by side for the lead. Fever on the outside, Shad on the inside. As we head to the white flag, Shad looking to keep it as low as possible, and Fever still looking for a way by.
Fever now pokes to the outside, going off through 2. Looks for a way to cut inside for 4, blocked off by Shad. Shad holds on to the inside for 5. Down the line for Fever, trying to get an angle alongside, couldn't get it for 6. Now tries a late lunge instead for 6. Once again, forced to reset, forced to regroup. Fever running out of chances to be able to look and make this pass as Shad continues to look back and forth from the helmet.
He's got about 2 more passing opportunities for Jack Fever. Expect Shad to go low This will be huge as far as an over-under goes for Jack Feber, who tries the outside. You see him now pull side by side with Shad. Feber still looking for the outside. That's a good exit out of Brady Shad. And we're going to have a drag race all the way to the finish line. It looks good for Brady Shad. Side by side, checkered flag in the air. Shad takes heat race number 1 and retakes the championship points lead here as we go into Sunday. Shad over Jack Feber. Theo Gaffer across the line in third. Leroy, Golseth, Benoit, Wilson, Lunsky, Colin Eddy, Alyssa Eddy, your top 10. You talk about Braden Domont. Issues for, again, another one of the drivers that found themselves in the championship fight. And again, where is Domont? A DNF 12 laps into this race. That is huge for the championship, and that could almost be heartbreak for Domont. Gonna need a great result tomorrow to put himself back into the fight. Brady Shad, though, a 6-point lead as we head into Sunday. Quick commercial break from our side. You're watching Kart Chasers live coverage of championship weekend at Route 66.
Are you looking to take the next step in your racing journey? Well, look no further than PitFit.
With 2 locations in Charlotte, North Carolina and Indianapolis, Indiana, PitFit trains drivers all the way from grassroots level karting to IndyCar and NASCAR with top-of-the-line personalized coaching to improve physical and cognitive fitness.
For more information on programs, check out PitFit on Instagram or Facebook today.
Are you stuck with your kart racing? Not sure the ideal kart setup? Or going to a track for the first time? Well, Kart Class has the answers for you. Our online portal has a wealth of experience and knowledge to help your kart racing. From kart setup advice to track guides that are targeted specifically to your circuit, or the driver coaching aspect with mindset, racecraft and driving techniques. If you want to take your karting to the next level, visit us at kartclass.com.
Micro Swift, presented by Top Kart USA, out onto the racetrack now. And it's Liam 4 on the pole position here alongside Dylan Braun, Austin Taylor, and Evan Leash on row number 2.
Then it's Darius Zaremba, I should say. Then it's Cameron Appel. He will be in the 6th position. 7th spot goes to Lawrence Jorgensen. Harris Appel will start in the 8th position.
Go back to Reagan Hodges, Blake Klemek, and Grant Heckman, your 11 drivers. I believe Heckman not joining us here for the heat races or the qualifying. No time populated for the 97, but we look on the number 4 of 4 and the 37 of Braun. Take us to the green flag to start off our action here in Micro Swift. Dylan Braun comes into the weekend leading the championship over Austin Taylor and Liam 4. 3 drivers into the mix, 3 drivers, a 3-horse race like Liam 4's dad told us earlier on today. Taylor and Braun all find themselves within a good shot here in championship weekend at Route 66. A good pace set by the number 4. We look on to Mick Gallagher one more time around for your Micro Swifts.
I like how they're forming up there in that sequence. And it's a good chance to be able to talk about how things are now kind of shuffled out now with the qualifying points. The result how things have gone here. 4 able to pick up those 20 points, going to be very valuable. Second pole for him this season, mind you. It's going to put him a little bit closer into the conversation. Still needs a near perfect weekend if the 4 wants to be able to go to the top step, go from 3rd to 1st in the span of a weekend in the standings. But it all starts with a, well, clean start as the front row inside.
Well, here we go. The pole sitter sets the pace. He decides when he wants to start. I think Mick might have thought it was just a little bit too fast for his liking. And again, we'll take a look. And I stand corrected. Grant Heckman out on the racetrack now. Just didn't start it off as we look to Alex Bertignoli as well, letting him know where the start cone is. That is where you punch off. Green flag in the air for Mick Gallagher, and that's a great start for the outside. And again, we'll see what the officials deem of that start, but nonetheless, that's a great start for Dylan Braun, for Evan Leash. Liam 4 slots back a good number of spots. 1 driver off the racetrack, 2 off, get collected early on.
That was the 16 that was way off the racing surface as they still battle it out up front. Great start for Leach. Up to the point, the 17 able to charge up to the front, the outside able to rumble its way forward, and already 4 all the way down into the edges of the top 5, and all the way to 6th in fact, with how that start played out for the 4.
Yeah, that was a huge turn of events there for a couple of drivers further back as well for Liam 4. Again, a driver looking at the championship here this weekend, not with the best of starts, but up front. And you talked about Evan Leash already making moves early. He takes over control, takes over the lead of the race. Side by side for the back, Liam 4 looking to go by on Zaremba, able to get clear for 4. I think that may have been 1 driver back. That could have been Harrison Apel with the driver he was looking to make a move on, and I think he was able to make it stick. So 4, as it stands, up to 6. Zaremba, the number 3, just 1 cart up the road on the MPG Academy machine. Actually, I'm mistaken. Zaremba was the driver that 4 was able to pass on that main straight. Zaremba finds himself 5th. Liam 4 now finds himself 5th. So here we go as we work our way by. Leash, your leader, from Braun, from Apel, from Taylor, and 4. That's your top 5 as it stands.
Yeah, Leach looking very comfortable right now. And mind you, came in at a 7th of the championship, missed the opening round of the season, had some decent speed in some of the heats where there's been point tallies of 80 in the first few last race, but some of the drivers trying to go for some moves. Taylor trying to get a bit bold up through turn 1 along the rumble strips. Not enough space to make that squeeze along past Apel.
Yeah, Cameron was just getting ready to turn into turn number 1, and again, that door closed very quickly for Austin Taylor, and just had to get back in a line, get right back behind the 24 of Cameron, that is, and they worked their way through now. Liam 4 all over the rear bumper as drops a tire off into the grass, loses a good amount of time, and I think might even fall under pressure here a little bit to the number 3 of Zaremba as they work their way through the second to last corner onto the front stretch. I guess short shoot now, and look at Liam 4 tires into the grass, 4 tires to the inside of Austin Taylor, looking for a move into turn number 1. Liam 4 is cleared up to 4th.
Nice quick pass to be able to get forward as some of the drivers are leading. Oh, and they have more lap traffic pushed off the racetrack. Kelmick into the tire barrier. The top 2 able to single file out, but they had to reach by the 17, who had that spin off the 16, should say, who had the spin at the start of the race. Very unfortunate race for Kelmick and how things have gone out.
Yeah, not the best of starts there for Clement to start this one off, but man, we almost having to find a little bit of time to catch our breaths here, Justin. What a way to start this one off, as now Liam 4 starts to close down his gap to Apel for the 3rd spot. And we'll see Liam's favorite passing zone has been turn number 1 in this straightaway run. And you talk about the draft, you talk about the runs he's had. Again, 2 laps in a row, 2 passes in a row into turn number 1. This one's not going to be as easy as it was on Austin Taylor. Now Taylor going to give that push that 4 needs. The 2 of them are clear now on Cameron Apel.
Still not done yet, though. That 4 machine having to play the defensive line. More off tires. Taylor having to hold on to it on the rumble strips. Hit the left side tires to the grass also. Opens up some side-by-side. Zaremba able to cut their way through the traffic. And one mistake in one area with side-by-side opens up the floodgates, to say the very least. Heckman doing a great job recovering from the back of the field, now to the mid-pack.
Huge for the 97 of Grant Heckman. Started on the last row, now finds himself well in the fight inside of the top 10. Now looking just on the edge of the top 5 with Austin Taylor, the driver, just ahead of him. Liam 4 across the line 3rd. To Zaremba, to Taylor, to Heckman, to Apel, to Harrison Apel, and Jorgensen, Hodges, Clement, who we saw off the racetrack just a couple of moments ago. But this is huge and a massive recovery for Liam 4. A change up front, not much. Leash still holds on to the lead, a 10th over Dylan Braun into 37. So those 2, again, find themselves a good ways away from this battle. And again, Liam 4 starts to drive away from it. He's a 2nd up the road from Zaremba here, Justin.
Yeah, right now, 4 doing a good job to be able to pull the gap here, but this 97, we've been keeping an eye on screen, able to keep within bay, has been able to recover very well for one of the drivers that's done well in cadet, karting, and so forth. Top 2, still 0.3 of a second separation, though, amongst them. They have been able to consistently pull off and away with all that infighting that we've seen with 4, with Zaremba, with Taylor, with Heckman. It's just opened them up to be able to control this race and be comfortable the whole rest of the way. The rest of the spots are still going to be valuable to be able to pick up these points here.
Yeah, it's going to be huge, right? Let's take a look at the championship battle here so far. It's 1,108 to Dylan Braun. He was 23 points better than Austin Taylor heading into the weekend here. And again, we saw a little bit of a shift, a little bit of a swing in momentum go the way of Liam 4 after that pole position in qualifying. The driver in 3rd gained a couple of points there, and again, he finds himself now in 3rd. Again, deeming what the officials think of the start. We'll see how it all plays out here. Again, but every point matters. Everything matters here this weekend. When you look at the championships, a lot of drivers looking to become first-time regional championships. A lot of drivers looking to gain another one, in micro Swift or whatever the class may be, right? Looking to get themselves within a micro Swift title here in 2025. Making a name for themselves, if you will, here in the Midwest at Route 66. That being said, the gap for 3rd closes down as Zaremba starts to close down on Liam 4 as we get into the closing stage of this race.
Calm, cool collectedness of some of these drivers here are going to be critical the rest of the way to make sure they're able to just hit their marks and maintain where they're at in some of these cases here. 4, mind you, has been losing time by about 4 or 5 tenths the past couple laps here to the race leaders, but still is matching if not a little bit quicker than everybody else in this train. So 4 hasn't been able to break that stigma of where he's running on the racetrack, unfortunately, quite yet, that we talked about during the practice and the qualifying sessions, but still has decent pace in it for the mid to long run here to be able to hold off for at least the podium. They have at least a podium contending car here. It's just a matter of what can they do to find those extra couple tenths per lap to keep up with your top two.
I'll contest with you here a little bit, Justin, and almost disagree, right? I think Liam 4 has a race-winning kart, in his hands, right? It's been fast all weekend long. We saw in qualifying, right? One of the fastest, the driver to beat, the kart to beat, the combination to beat, if you will, in the qualifying session.
Right.
I think the name of the game, though, more than anything, heat race number 1 was the start, right? It just didn't go his way. Got swallowed up after they got into the start box, and again, from there, he's been clawing back, but a lot of drivers can do two things, right? Whenever you face pressure, whenever you face adversity, whenever you face those nerves, you can continue to fall back, you can continue to get antsy, make urgent moves, desperate moves, if you will, or you can sit there, sit patient, put your head down, pick and choose when to make your moves, be patient, be mature about it. That's the biggest word in it all, right? Yeah. And that's hard to say for a driver that's only 8-9 years old in the Micro Swift class, but he's shown that, right? It's been, if you will, quote-unquote, a championship drive out of Liam 4 in this heat race because he could have won, found himself urgent, desperate to make moves and off the racetrack, or he could find himself where he is now, in third, making the most out of it, damage limitation.
That's a great point in regards to that, and what was the saying as they start squabbling behind with Taylor trying to get around Zaremba. The point was, I think that he's further along developed in terms of that maturity, if I understood from his father, compared to in the past to himself. So Ford's got a strong head on his shoulders in terms of his racing development, and it leads right to that exact point you were talking about, being able to play things out for the long run and know where you can contend for later on. Set up for tomorrow is the big thing.
Yeah, now Austin Taylor, I really think he's probably going to need him set himself up a little better when you look at championship, right? This is going to swing the way of Liam 4 again here at the end of heat race number 1 if he can't go one spot better on Zaremba and, again, limit the damage that 4 is going to make at the end of this heat race. This would swing about 80 points the way of Liam 4, 85 points, I'm sorry, as Taylor now looks for a move in a turn number 1 on Zaremba. That door closed once again on Austin Taylor, and right behind him, his teammate Heckman, already up to 6th, I believe, 5 spots gained since the start of this race. That's a huge drive out of the 97, making some good headway early on. Up front, Leash still holds on to a second gap over Dylan Braun, who's going to finish second. So when you look at points, this is still looking good for Liam 4, right, to keep himself in this fight, to keep himself in the conversation, and for Dylan Braun as well, right, to maintain that championship lead going into tomorrow. Heat 2 in the main event. That's all that we have left on the weekend after heat race number 1. You got to start thinking about it. Start thinking bigger picture. Where can you get the points that you need when you think about the goal really in the year, right? When you come here to race in any championship, it's to win a championship, it's to win races, it's to be competitive. And that was one of the biggest conversations that we had with Liam's dad was, we're here to compete, we're here to win. Yeah, we're here to have fun. But we're not spending all this money for no reason. We want to be competitive. We want to end up with a trophy at the end of the year. And again, they're doing everything possible. Not just Liam, but you talk about Dylan, you talk about Austin Taylor as well when you come into the weekend. Speaking of Austin's dad a whole lot throughout the year, right? This is a year where they want to see that step forward, and he's made it. And now it's staying up there, right? Contending, not cracking under those moments of pressure. And that's huge for these young drivers to learn, right? To learn how to win, to learn how to lose. That's massive. But we're getting into the last lap here of this heat race. It's all to play for when we head into tomorrow, Sunday, on championship weekend here at Route 66. That being said, a factor for them, Evan Leash, 7th into the championship point standings after missing round number 1 at Whiteland. What a drive for the number 17, putting himself better than everybody else here in heat race number 1.
Leash all race long has just put down knockdown speed. Lap times have gotten quicker and quicker, checking the delta the past 5-10 laps. Been able to find an extra tenth or two about on average each time around this racetrack. The 17 is dialed in, very comfortable. A lot of confidence here from Leach throughout this entire race. It's going to be tough to beat him.
How can you not be confident, right? When you're local to Wisconsin, when we saw him come over here for Route 66 over at Road America, finished on the podium, finished second, and on his return here this weekend, finds himself leading the field after heat race number 1, finds himself winning the heat race here in Micro Swift. What a drive for Evan Leash, the number 17, victorious at the end of it. Dylan Braun across the line second, Liam 4. A huge swing in the championship for 4 to be able to recover nicely across the line third. Zaremba 4th, Austin Taylor 5th, to Heckman, to Cameron Apel, Harrison Apel 7th and 8th, Jorgensen, Hodges, and Klemek with an early DNF here in this one. That's your 11 drivers here in Micro Swift. Evan Leash, your winner. Time to get going with our Mini Swift drivers. As we get set to go green, as well presented by BBS Race Engines. Cameron Johnson, local to the state of Wisconsin, in the 110 on the pole position alongside Dominic Gaddis. Eric Wojciechowski starts alongside Will Feistinger.
Then you have Michael Drekka, then alongside will be Simon Braun. Wooden will start in the 7th position. Colton Gross rounds out your top 8 starting positions. 9th going to Rhett Johnson, and then it's Caleb Klemick, I should say, will round out your top 10 starting spots as the field gets all set to go. Down the front straightaway, they are set to go for the tram lines to slow on down and get rumbled up for this field.
Well, here we go. All eyes on Mick Gallagher to get us racing here in Mini Swift. A little too fast for his liking, and this gives us a little bit of time to talk about the championship fight coming into the weekend. And it's the two drivers who share that front row, Dominic Gaddis and Cameron Johnson, who are sharing this championship fight. 66 points in between the two of them. If you look back to the opening round at K1 Circuit, Whiteland, it was Cameron Johnson who took the victory over Dominic Gaddis. He went over to Road America for round number 2. Neither of them were able to win. I believe that went the way of Santi Orioli, who joined us to do some testing for USPKS. Gaddis finished second, Johnson third, and then you look over at Norway. Johnson finished just on the edge of the podium as Gaddis was able to come away with the win. And this weekend, again, the two of them, winner take all, if you will, in between Cameron Johnson and between Dominic Gaddis, as we get set to go racing. Green flag in the air. We're racing in Mini Swift.
Great start for the inside line this time. Cameron Johnson able to pull forward and already blocked to the inside. One poke to the inside line for the rest of the drivers through 4, but a clean run through. No side-by-side yet. Johnson just about had a poke from behind, however, the 119.
Eric Wojciechowski, yeah, Eric, what a drive, what a weekend for Eric. Again, on home soil at his home racetrack for the team, for himself as well with Franklin Motorsports. This is, again, great progression out of Eric here this year, right? His, I believe, first full year of racing, and again, to find himself second out of regional race. This is huge for Eric Wojciechowski. A year to the date started in July, just a month over that year mark, but this is huge for the driver in second, and again, he's starting to put a little bit of separation in between himself, teammate Cameron Johnson, and Dominic Gaddis. Their gap sits at 2 car lengths.
Yeah, Cameron Johnson has a lightning rod of a Kart so far. It looks like to be able to fire off and build this buffer already on the colder tires here. It's been a brilliant start and a brilliant strike to begin things. Gaddis, though, needs to find a way to quickly move on up and find a way to leapfrog, and not only that, be able to close on gaps consistently, be able to match ties once to get some clean air to the Kart here. It's going to take a few moments to be able to set something up as they rumble the way to 12.
Yeah, we'll see what Gaddis does. Already kind of looking for a way by. You see him just inch his way closer to the rear bumper of Wojciechowski throughout this lap, and again, just needs a little bit more. Turn 1, this is probably going to be one of the better passing opportunities for Gaddis. Onto the main straight, we'll see if he looks down low. Going to be content to push Wojciechowski at the moment. I don't think he's was close enough that time by to try to look for a move. He's close enough now. Turn number 4, Gaddis inside, cleared through for second.
Nicely done for Dominic Gaddis, who's always busy, always at this level when it comes to the style of racing. He's been able to come away with the championship, started things off with off-road racing, got big into go kart racing, more than 20 event wins, more than 40 event podiums for his career so far in the 114 camp. Gaddis right now is going to have a tough time to close it up because Johnson's been able to break the toe essentially from everybody else, all while that mid-pack still sees financial amongst those. Settle on in. He's doing double duty here this weekend, and in some cases for some of the team owners, it's important to be able to get their drivers extra time here. Seat time is seat time, as the saying goes.
Yeah, correct. That's been huge for a lot of these drivers, right? Talk about Cameron Johnson. He's in the seat almost every single weekend, whether it's SCUSA, PKS, Stars, out there everywhere at whatever regional racing scene or whatever racetrack he can get to. Dominic Gaddis is all right. We saw him last weekend. We've seen him in the past over at Stars. We've seen him everywhere on the national circuit. Eric Wojciechowski as well. I believe he was over in Italy just a month ago, 2 months ago, throughout the summer, working out there, again, progressing a little bit more. And you see that starts to translate as well, coming back here to the States, and you see the progression, all that hard work paying off for these young drivers. Feifstinger, again, another one of the drivers that we've talked about, right? Finds himself racing 206, Mini Swift, you name it, right? These kids stay busy, and you see it. You know, you see why they're some of the best in the nation in whatever class, whatever engine package that you put them in. As long as it's got a steering wheel and 4 tires, they're going fast, right? But I will say, Gaddis not going fast enough to pull away from the driver's turn on back. You see Wojciechowski looking for a move, turn 5. Door bumper clear for Wojciechowski, nice and easy through for second.
Back and forth yet again is all you can say. Wojciechowski really handling things well. Bit of an off track that time to the middle sector, but still keeping things single file. your car just able to keep composed. That's the big thing. They are going to lose some ground potentially here for the race lead, but they are putting on some stellar battling, you can say, for the fans here and for themselves to be able to develop how they're trying to pass and set things up, especially when they come to the drafting zones here. Some of the MPGs trying to work together to close back that gap, allow Gaddis to reset, allow Gaddis to be able to recharge for another lunge. Took a look, takes it through turn 4. Gaddis nicely done with the help of teamwork from behind.
Yeah, and this is best case scenario for Cameron Johnson, right? The championship swung his way, picked up a good number of points at the end of the qualifying session. Right, 20 points are going to go his way here at the end of the day, and as well, this would be huge. This would be 100 points at the end of heat race number 1 that are going to go his way compared to the 90. So that's already a 20-point difference that are going to swing his way. So that's going to bring that gap down to about 40 points in between Johnson and Gaddis. And again, he's still getting points. He's still racking them up, finishing second, and I believe qualifying just third, or actually, sorry, he qualified second again. So 20 points the way of Johnson. That's the swing so far once we head into Sunday. And again, we still got a long way to go. We're barely halfway through this first heat race, Justin. Anything can happen. A lot can happen in these next 7 laps.
Let me ask you this. In terms of the driver mindset, what is that like, though, knowing you've got a championship battle, have to think about points, but also you can't be thinking about math equations and trying to figure out 5 times 1,000 divided by 17 times the square root of pi or anything along those lines. What's that mindset like from your experience when talking to drivers?
It's just, you know, last weekend we talked about the same thing when we were at USBKS, and the biggest thing that you get out of it is you can't really do anything. You can't control anybody else's day. You know, you can't affect anybody else's day. The only thing you can really worry about when you come into a weekend like this looking for a championship is yourself. You got to worry about yourself having a good day. You can't hope that somebody else has a bad day or hope that they get tripped up on the racetrack. You can only focus about yourself. How can I go out there this weekend and put myself in the best position to win a championship? The rest is extra, right? If the rest doesn't come my way, then so be it. But I can focus on myself. I can control my race. I can control my destiny. I can control my championship as well. And that's huge, right? Coming into a weekend like that, you talk about mindset. Championship drivers come into a championship Sunday, championship weekend, and they think, how can I go out there and win this race this weekend? And then ultimately, at the end of it all, the championship comes along with it.
So important. So important to be able to keep that mindset forward for the rest of the way. Absolutely. And remember, these are some of the younger drivers that you'll see here. It's good to develop racecraft early, and there's just a way on the mindset that develops as a driver. At least in my experiences, when you start off young and know how to get that mindset you just talked about, you're in a brilliant spot for the rest of your career because you know how to race and have racecraft development and know when the smart move is instead of, okay, I'm here to pass race cars and when they pass it. It's not as simple as that. So we have that mindset really coming to play for a lot of these drivers. Gaddis doing a good job by the way in all of this to be able to maintain second, build a small buffer, still with about 5 laps to go.
Yeah, this is huge. And when we talk about championship, right, the advantage, again, came into the weekend the way of Dominic Gaddis with 66 points better than Johnson. And again, it's going to close up nonetheless by 20 points. So it'll be 40 the way of Gaddis at the end of it all. But that being said, this is huge as far as it all goes. And I believe drops have to factor in as well at the end of the weekend. We'll see who has a lower drop, who has a higher drop at the end of it all. But nonetheless, it's a matter of going out there and being fast when it matters. And Wojciechowski, he's fast now, wanting to go for second side by side. Gaddis still on the inside. Wojciechowski looking for a way around. Third's all it's going to be. Looking into the hairpin, inside door, bumper. Able to get clear side by side now. As Feidinger now gets himself up to third.
Feidinger able to slip through, and that's all because of the top of the pass by the 119 to be able to arc out Gaddis, force him off the gas, out of the liner towards the outside of it rather, and lose him some ground. Johnson maintaining meanwhile 4 seconds up now. He gained 1 second from that passing opportunity in through turn 12. Driving a perfect race so far. And mind you, He's only had 2 heat race wins this season. It's gone Gaddis' way most of the time when the heats outside of Oriole starts. It's a perfect chance to be able to get that response, as we said, chip away that gap, and hope that the map lines up to be able to build a lot closer by the end of the day here for that Kart.
Yeah, and again, for Cameron Johnson, right, you kind of look at the years he's had in years past, right? 2023, last round of the season, was able to get a win at K1 Circuit Whiteland. You look at the start of the year, right, able to win again, back-to-back weekends at Route 66. That was the last time he won. He was close at Road America. You come back here to the Badger Kart Club. He's up there at the front, going to be a factor all weekend long, if you will, the driver to beat all weekend long. And again, you look at everybody else that's in this mix, everybody else that's, you know, put themselves in the fight. Breakout weekend for Eric Wojciechowski. Feichinger as well finds himself within good pace already in third. And this is where Dominic Gaddis has to find a response, right? He has to find some way to get himself back up there, because it's not only 20 points now, right? That gap opens up a little bit more to Cameron Johnson in the championship. His 66-point gap coming into the weekend is closing in. And that margin of error, again, slims way down. So we'll see what it looks like. 2 laps to go. And Mini Swift, Wojciechowski leads his second group as Feichinger opens up wide looking for a move for second. Wojciechowski makes his Franklin Motorsports Merlin as wide as possible, as now Gaddis taking advantage. Able to get through. Wojciechowski drops the tire into the grass, almost sideways, hands off the steering wheel. And this is new life for Dominic Gaddis, who looks to go for second.
That was almost reverse lock, it looked like, from Wojciechowski to hold on to that Kart. Tremendous job to be able to hold on with the lack of traction. Gaddis now at a prime opportunity to set up a diamond line. Tries to run through the liner, couldn't get the arc down through 12. Can't get it planted for 13, but does have a teammate lined up where they've worked together before in this race for that spot. White flag is out, final time around, and they are working together tandeming.
Wojciechowski, I think, just went a little too wide on the exit of turn number 1. Here comes Feichinger, and there went Dominic Gaddis as well for second. Wojciechowski looking to go back for third, through into turn number 5, back up to third. This should be a good gap that's going to extend for Dominic Gaddis for second, but up front, Cameron Johnson, nowhere to be found, has absolutely ran away with heat race number 1. And when you talk about a weekend where he's fighting for a championship drive in heat race number 1. The battle for second going to continue. But Cam Johnson, the 110, should be coming around to the straightaway now to win heat race number 1. He'll take it for Franklin Motorsports and for Merlin. Across the line now, Dominic Gaddis in second, Wojciechowski to Feichinger and Supaka, your top 5. And here comes Simon Jack Klein in 6th. What a race. Kept us on the edge of our seats, and best case scenario for Cam Johnson. And again, you talk about championship, only 20 points. Dominic Gaddis able to recover there a little bit in the end. And we'll see these drivers again tomorrow morning for their warm-up session and heat race number 2. And in the main event, we'll decide the championship nonetheless. Quick commercial break. We'll be right back with more racing action.
Kyle, what are you doing?
It's got my new Greyhound seat.
You don't even have a cart.
Doesn't matter. I have a Greyhound.
Who the f is Kyle Cuthbertson? Doesn't even have a go-kart.
Doesn't matter.
Cuthbertson through on Turney. Turney in the dirt.
Cat food marketing. $9.99 a month.
Dude, Caleb, wake up. Dude, we're live in 5 minutes. Let's go. Come on. What are you doing?
Dude, I'm so sorry. Xander had me in a cat food marketing meeting till like 2 a.m. last night.
Come on, man.
Do you have anything I can drink?
Dude, I got the perfect thing for you. Perico. It's a healthy energy drink alternative.
Perico, non-GMO, gluten-free, kosher, magnesium, B12, B6,
yeah, it's good.
B5, biotin, and 0 sugar? Pericazo. Try.
Perico, made with natural ingredients, organic caffeine, and supports your metabolism. Try the new official energy drink of Kart Chaser.
Couple announcements for those of you here in the paddock. If you are wanting to take part in the cornhole tournament and as well the cookout in general, that's going to take place at 5:30 p.m. For those of you, again, wanting to take part in the cornhole tournament, don't forget to register through Discord, be a part of all the fun later on today. But again, the cookout and all the, I guess, after-hours events are going to take place at 5:30 later on today. So, again, continue to check Discords for the evening schedule updates. And that being said, we're excited to see all you guys out there later on today. 2:06 senior out onto the racetrack now. Only 3 classes to go. But again, if you will, a foreigner here this weekend. Reagan Seville put it on the pole position. The kid out of Texas in the 500 GFC puts himself fastest overall. He's starting alongside Quentin McPherson on row number 1. River Carlson on row number 2 alongside Braden Zerves.
Then in row number 3, you'll find Louis Palmisano alongside Jackson Barr. Connor Matching will start alongside Aiden Leiber, who will start in the 8th position.
Go back to Wyatt Leslie, Vincent Fritz, Eli Carter, Dane Underwood, Thomas Schreck, Paterno, Shane Reddy, Kraus, Gaffer, Janowek, Mann, Miles Fodry, Miller, Boyce, Padilla, Paulson, and Marco Longo, your 25 drivers getting set to take the green flag in 2:06 senior, presented by Lawson Speed Shop. And again, no championship this weekend for Seville, but when you look at championship, McPherson finds himself within a shot here, as well as a couple of others. That being said, we get ready to go racing here in 2:06 senior. All eyes on Mick Gallagher. Green flag flies. We're racing in 2:06.
2x2 to start. Seville not able to clear by. Pretty even off the launch. Verson couldn't get it to stay alongside before they stay 2x2, and off the racetrack they go.
That is huge championship implications for Quentin McPherson. Into the wall. He led the championship coming into the weekend. Where is Shane Reddy? Can he take control of the championship now? After heat race number 1, he finds himself, I believe it looks like, inside of the top 5 for Shane Reddy. That is massive. He's actually further back than that. Shane Reddy, all eyes on this kid to try and take over control of this championship here this weekend, but he has a lot of work to do to make it count.
Yeah, Shane Reddy, keep in mind, started around 15th position, way far back in the field. Hard to be able to come back from that unless you have some very on-point passing. Right now, it's fallen back into his opportunity to be able to pick up points here, since it's a 2-kart race essentially up front without any potential drops in the factors. Some of the drivers right now, including himself, trying to make some moves ready, able to slip on by as they try and move through the heart of this field as quick as possible. Gaffer, the last person they passed.
Yeah, he was able to go by on Oliver Gaffer. The two of them worked really well together earlier on in the year, and as well here they've kind of worked their way to try and cut through this field. Now Reddy going to try to settle in. Here's a look at Braden Zerves, who finds himself in 3rd. Carlson, the driver, in 2nd to Reagan Seville in the 500 machine. Out in the lead of this race. Nobody has been close to him so far at the start of it. Again, we're only 2 laps in. We'll wait for this race to start to come back in, if you will. But nonetheless, working our way through. First couple laps underway. No changes up front. Barr in the 531 sits patient, not for long, as now he's going to get past Palmisano, able to work his way through on Barr. Again, that Barr family with a good number of drivers here this weekend. Side by side, Wyatt Leslie able to go through on the 507 of Leiber. They continue to fight, and there further back is the 511 of Connor Fashing. As well, looks like he was making a couple of moves earlier on in this race, but again, another driver that finds himself actually just, it's a long shot. Gonna need a lot for Wyatt Leslie this weekend, but again, this heat race hasn't really gone his way. As it stands, it would still hold for Quentin McPherson after heat race number 1, but that is, again, a lot of work to do for him tomorrow or in heat race number 2, Justin.
Yeah, absolutely. At this point, it's pure disaster for a person to try and recover from. Good battles on the screen, including Fashion able to make the way on by. More side by side, slipping on through is Leslie. Leslie had to get the elbows out to be able to make that pass. Let's open up the door. Leiber, one of the drivers, actually spoke amongst some of the organizations there for some of the preparation this week with Bobby Krug, had mentioned that they felt like they were coming off the trailer in perfect spots this weekend compared to some of the others where they had to build into the speed. The 507 had been top 10 in the practice sessions coming into today's races, and now looks to be decent in terms of some of the battling as we see some of the yards in front.
Yeah, this second group going to start to get closer and closer together. Seville able to hold on to his gap already 5 laps in. No headway made by Carlson just yet. And again, one driver in this mix just dropped the tire there on your screen. If you saw Palmisano there in 4th. And again, the Kart lift machine of Fashing to Leslie to Barr to Leiber to Carter to Fritz. That's your top 10, but you don't see this too often in any 206 race, right, where one driver is able to pull away from the rest, and Seville able to maintain his gap, and it stayed consistent. I mean, last time around it was at a second. This time around it's at about 1.6, so it's growing. Seville 54.008. He was about 0.6 quicker than River Carlson in second. So this is huge, and now Leslie going to slow them up just a little bit more with a pass there on Fashing. Leslie's up to the top 5.
Still at the draft train show, though, so not the biggest panic. Give credit to Carlson, though. River Carlson had been one of the drivers from the first qualifying group. Was wondering, was that time going to stick? They've done a good job defending for now, but here comes the Hornets Nets. Oh. Able to slip by. Zerves with a bit of contact. Now the 539. Palmisano trying to go to the outside. Everyone trying to find a way around Carlson, as Carlson has lost ground and now is getting swarmed by everyone wanting to make their way on by.
Yeah, Carlson, again, not too bad, only 3rd. But that battling for second on back really going to allow Seville to get a little bit more breathing room as this race continues to go on. Palmisano, you saw him go side by side with Leslie, as well as Fashing, as well as Leiber. So everybody just kind of getting into it, right? Elbows at racing, if you will, here in 206. Maybe not benefiting them all as much when you talk about heat race victories, but even then, right, whole separate battle than what you have, I guess, on the racetrack. You're here to win at the end of the day. But when you talk about the championship, again, got to be in the minds for some. Nonetheless, for Palmisano, looking to make a move for 3rd, all the way off the racetrack for River Carlson, facing the wrong way into the grass. The 529 was in 3rd, and now he's in the grass, almost down in last, and that is massive for River Carlson. The 529 had great pace to start it off, and wow.
That was from a recovery from what was a rougher practice session and a happy hour to set things up with qualifying order. Be able to bounce back and be able to hold on for now, but now it's going to be the tough thing for the rest of the weekend. What are they going to do in terms of the recovery? They're going to have to come back from the back, and that's so difficult to do here, Caleb, is trying to recover from the back where it's an absolute hornet's nest, where it's going to take the whole rest of the weekend to be able to get back into a decent points-paying finish for the final.
Yeah, we'll see, right? We'll see if we can update you on some of the drivers that we lost early on. Quentin McPherson, I believe, still out on the track. Actually, he's a lap down, but he has the fastest lap of the race. That is wild for Quentin McPherson, right? That no-quit attitude out of him. He's actually on the lead lap. And we'll look at the gaps, right, on where McPherson finds himself. There he is with River Carlson, actually. So those two drivers, actually the two drivers that we lost early on, right? Again, they find themselves on the track, and McPherson had the fastest lap of the race. I believe might still have it, but that is huge, right? No quit attitude out of Quentin McPherson. We'll see what he can get out of this heat race. And again, you need as many points as you can get, right? Given he's not going to get any for heat race number 1, but just wants to finish it, right? Just wants to finish it on the track, and there's still a lot you can learn out of this race going into tomorrow in Heat 2 and in the main event.
There's a good chance on the pace potentially. Maybe you get to Padilla and Boyce in terms of an opportunity. Has already pulled away a fair bit from Carlson for reference. That shows how fast the 579 is and just how bad the luck's been in terms of the track position. There is still a chance to do something here. It's just, what are you going to do now tomorrow? You are that points leader. This is the adversity in a championship. You have to come back from the lowest points he had scored in a heat race all season before this, 75.
Okay, here we go back up front. And again, we're just past the halfway point. The gap for the lead at about 2 seconds, and I believe growing. Here we'll update you on the times of 53.7 for Seville, Zerves at 53.9, and again, you're seeing these guys continue to fight, right? Wyatt Leslie able to get himself up to 3rd. Everybody else for the back 8 and Lieber currently 4th. Palmisano in that mix. Jackson Barr, your top 6 to Connor Fashing as well in the 5.11. So they really haven't given themselves, I think, much time to really work their way up to the 500 of Seville. It's just really been elbows out racing for the majority of this race, right? Kind of passing here, you know, making moves, maybe a little too early, if you will. But that being said, right, this is why we've seen such big separation from the lead of the race, where Seville's been able to just absolutely run away with it, and everybody else just kind of stuck in the second group, right, fighting for scraps almost, it seems.
Keep in mind, they're fighting so hard for this second spot as they make an error pass, with Leslie going up to second once again, because they have a chance for third in the championship with how tight they are. They may be out of contention for the overall top spot, but it's within less than 100 points for third position.
73 points, yeah, 73 points to be exact in between Braden Zerves and Wyatt Leslie. That's a great point that you bring up, right? That's, you know, not sure what the prize structure is at the end of the year, but that could also be a huge thing that's on the mind of Wyatt Leslie and Braden Zerves, which is exactly how they sit on the track, is exactly how they sit in the championship, right? Leslie finds himself third, Zerves finds himself fourth in the championship, and they're just bumper to bumper, right? Nose to tail with each other on the racetrack. So, you know, we're starting lap number 12 here, and that's one of the things that I didn't think about, didn't really cross my mind. And again, you're seeing that change here a little bit, right? The mindset change as well between the drivers on the track. And you see it start to get a little bit more tame, right, as we get to the closing stages. Starting lap number 12. Again, only 3 laps to go left in this race, and it's a moment where you really just need to settle in, right? Settle in a little bit and get ready to fight when those last 2 laps come around.
Absolutely, and there's a lot of chances for that coming up here as the clouds start to settle over top of the racetrack. Leslie just picking up a small bump over the rest of things as Zerves just tries to reset. Curious though if we see someone like Lieber try and poke out in the next few moments here, as they have been amongst those charged back after the slow start of a 507 Kart. We'll give a shout out again to that organization. Had been a team originally for St. Louis with Bobby Krug, who has been someone who's won at skip bomber level, took time away now from the real world car to be able to work on this karting program and develop for the first time at the national level as a unit. He was one of the first names brought up in terms of who to keep an eye on for your team. The driver that's in the 507 was who? Bobby Krug was amongst those who mentioned, as well as some of the other drivers going bit by bit with how much development he's been trying to help those competitors as they've gotten in the cars the past couple of weeks.
Yeah, here we go, 2-6 in the air. The next time around, we will start lap number 14, and again, not much change up front. Seville, again, he's doing these laps on his own, right? Last time around, a 53.884. Wyatt Leslie, a 53.849. So hundreds of a second. The difference in between first and second as far as lap time goes. This time 2-6 in the air, 2 laps to go in between Leslie, Seville, and Moore. And this is where this second group has gained a 10th. This is where we'll start to fight a little bit as well. Fashing looking for a move on Lieber, able to get through for the 5th spot.
Fashing's been absolutely strong as well in this race. He's been able to make swift moves in that pack of the 511 machine. He's in a great spot right now. All this as well, you have to wonder, it's go time for a lot of these drivers to make some of these battles. Right now, Palmisano is in a decent spot to try and go for a lunge. Didn't take it through 12. Elects to wait for now as Leslie finds some late run speed to pull away from the 509 and build a buffer for second.
Here we go, white flag in the air. Leslie's starting to, like you said, build that buffer for second on back. Everybody else single file, working their way through, and a couple of more moves. Palmisano looking on the inside of Zerves. He's able to get clear into turn number 4. Palmisano up to third. That's going to demote Zerves down a little bit, and that should help Leslie extend his gap for third a little bit. Here as far championship goes. Everybody else single file, but again, nobody's really been able to contend with the 500. And you talk about this kid who, again, we've seen be super busy on the regional scene over in the state of Texas. And this weekend, we weren't expecting to see him out here. If you're, if you're one of the usuals on our Kart Chaser platform, you'll hear the name when you talk about 206 of Reagan Seville. You'll hear it here in the Midwest in Wisconsin. Seville wins heat race number 1. A across the line side by side for the back white. Leslie in second, Palmisano third. Zerves to Fashing, your top 5. And when you talk championship, Shane Reddy fell just outside of the top 10. Quentin McPherson, again, another one of the drivers we talked about when you talk championship, getting himself closer to the rear of the field. Quick commercial break from our side. We'll be right back with our last couple of classes. KA Junior coming up next.
There's 3 basic pillars for data analysis. One is the data that we extract from the dash and look on the data station. The other thing is the feedback from the driver. And the last thing is the visual, like when we look at the driver on the track or we look at an onboard camera. Here at PSL Karting, we use a lot the SmartyCam 3 from AIM Sports. This camera is basically connected to the dash, and it gets all the data from the dash and it synchronizes the video already for us. So every time we use this camera, we take the SD card, put it on a computer, and then we are able to analyze the drivers side by side on the data. We all know that drivers, they learn faster when it's visually shown to them side by side what's the difference, right? So with the SmartyCam, every time we put on the data, we're able to see the drivers side by side on the track. So here, for example, you can see that Diego is taking a curb and our other driver is not. You see that one driver is oversteering and the other driver is pretty much straight coming out of the corner. By showing this to them, they're able to absorb faster. And you can even play the videos simultaneously so they can see how they're performing through the track.
You guys heard there from Kart Chaser's very own Lucas Noguera, the official data analyst of Kart Chaser, the official data analyst as well of PSO Karting and Burrell Art. And you heard from him on the new Micron 6. Its nuances and everything new with it. You can order yours today at shopakr.com, the official sponsor of Kart Chaser's live coverage, our partner. And again, huge sales. You can buy your Sparko suits from shopakr.com as well. Scan the QR code. You can get yours today. Get yours now, if you will. That being said, we get ready to go racing once again. KA Junior next out on track. We'll wait for them to fire engines.
K100 Junior now hitting the racetrack as they get themselves ready to go, presented by P1 Engines. And we look to see how these drivers fare out for their first heat race of the weekend. Just about set to go, your starting lineup. Ben Abernathy will start on the pole for this race. Brady Shad starts off in second. Isaac Nolan in third. Isaac Payne will start in fourth position.
Yeah, that was a huge qualifying run out of Isaac Payne, who I believe qualified third. You go back to Brady Shad, who qualified fourth. You go to John Antonino, Asen Dramaliev, Landon Boer, Brandon Siraki, Jacob Majeski, Eason Kubinski, your top 10. To Cameron Marsha, and his return to karting here this weekend finds himself in 11th alongside teammate Jackson Baldus under the Holtz driver development team. You go to a couple of more, Tucker Trieb, Walter Kalstrup, Adriana Rowe, and more as we get set to take the green flag here. Abernathy finds himself in the championship fight with John Antonino, with Asen Dramaliev. And they're going to have to wait for it one more time. And that gives us a little bit more time to talk more about a couple of your other competitors here in this one. Pearson Golseth, Ryan Mort in this one as well. Nolan Carney, Slayton Baldock, Takobi Klemek, Alex Zakov, and more as we work our way through. One driver with issues, and this is the 881. That's off the racetrack there. That's Adriana Rowe. And the 881, that is off, and I don't think that engine is firing. That could be a flooded carburetor, potentially not starting on the exit of turn number 1. So that's unfortunate for the young lady. Not going to take the green flag here, and I'm not sure we're going to take the green flag here until she is cleared off. Indeed. We'll wait for it again, and I'm not sure if Rose still is on the outside there of turn number 1 on the exit. We'll keep an eye on it. I'm not sure if she's able to get back going. We'll keep an eye on the 881 on where she stacks up. But oh, there she is. So yes, just on the inside. I don't think going to be able to get the green flag this time around. Look like she was trying to take it back into the pits. Yeah, she's in the grass, so that's going to end her day a little bit early. Unfortunate for Adriana Rowe, but nonetheless, we get ready to take the green flag here. And KA Junior, it's a Holtz driver development lockout of row number 1 with Abernathy on the inside, Nolan on the outside. We look to McGallagher, green flag in the air. We're racing in KA Junior.
Outside line getting the better launch. Nolan flies around the outside as we have some drivers off in turn 1, believe. Others going really slow. The pack getting split apart.
Benham Abernathy with a slow start, and you got to think if that car was just maybe a little bit flooded, wasn't able to get going. One driver's backwards. Abernathy fell all the way back almost to the back end of the pack, and that's the 886 as well off the racetrack. That's Walter Kastrup. That's off the racetrack. Everybody else shuffling for position. Luckily for Abernathy, finds himself right behind championship rival and John Antonino. Asen Dramaliev, where does he find himself now on the track? I believe it's 4th at the moment for Asen. And that's huge. That would be a huge swing in his favor. Antonino still holds on with the good championship points buffer, a 149 gap in between himself and Landon Boer. Way off the racetrack, drops the tire there, goes wide. Able to keep it on, but what a start. Now Brady Shad looking for the lead of the race over Isaac Nolan. He gets it.
Yet again, no, not done. Nolan again going tire to tire, banging tires to make the move. This is uber aggressive to start things off. It sure is exciting, but the hand signals are up with how aggressive things have gone amongst the top 3.
Yeah, this is elbows out racing, right? You saw the start. Again, nerves just start to boil up. Tension start to rise a little bit before even the race gets going. How about Brandon Siraki getting himself up to second here? This would be a best career finish in round 66. And as well here this weekend for the hometown kid. I know family watching. His dad was just out on the racetrack earlier. Grandfather on site as well. Gio Siraki been super busy here this weekend, making sure Badger Kart Club is up to spec, and he gets himself up to second. How about Asen Dramaliev now up to third, able to get himself into the mix. But this is huge inside of the top 4, a huge mix-up. And again, the biggest story that we have in the top 4, right? Championship, obviously huge for Abernathy, who now gets himself to 5th. But for Brandon Siraki, what a drive for this kid, hometown, on his birthday as well. Just turned 14 today, and again puts himself up at the front in 2nd. This is massive, and what a result this will be for Brandon if it's able to stick here, Justin.
Be able to start the weekend right. That'd be a good birthday. You have to be able to set up the whole rest of your weekend to be able to capitalize, right? I mean, it's either that or able to get a brand new cart to add on to your additional carts. Lots of different birthday gifts, but still, in terms of the racing so far, things have started to calm down a little bit at the very least, but it's still not done. You have Dreminov able to make the stand once again, moving up to 2nd, and remember that 877 so far this season has just the 1 heat win all season.
Oh, here we go, Justin, side by side again. Apologies there, but again, Ascend just sends it in a little bit too wide there in one of the hairpins, and Brandon was able to go right back under him. And you look at the lead of the race, Brady Shad has ran away with it. Ascend has had a good year so far, and again, he's having, I think, one of the better heat races he's had so far, side by side, and that's all come undone. Contact in between Nolan, around the outside, Siraki looking to make a move. Abernathy on the inside. There's no time to breathe. There's no space on the racetrack, period. Contact further back. Siraki makes contact with a teammate. Further back, Antonino looks to avoid it all. This is madness in KA Junior.
Small bits seem to come off, going all around to turn 2 there as a result of that contact. Ward sends up the inside. This has been perfect for Abernathy to be able to recover from the poor start. Why not take advantage of all the carts battling, just slip on by them all, and now Abernathy is able to get to 2nd comfortably for the 4th sector and running away because of how aggressive they're starting to get here with some of these drivers late arcing coming out of 12, for example.
Yeah, I mean, it's just really hard to find a lane, to pick the right one at that, right? You saw Abernathy just wanted to go on the inside, and again, Siraki had the better run on the outside once they got to the main straightaway, but again, you know the inside's going to reign supreme when you get a turn number 1, right? We've seen how hard it is to make it stick around the outside, and you just saw that, right? Everybody just ran out of room, almost 3 wide on the exit. You know, period. Ran out of room. Majeski was one of the drivers in there. Antonino, Boer, a couple of others that just, there was nowhere to go really, you know, unless on top of each other. And there's more contact in the middle of the corner, right? Those little love taps, if you will. Isaac Nolan on the rear bumper of Ascend Dramaliev, and again, just elbows out racing, right? Everybody kind of just you know, not giving each other any love, if you, or maybe too much at that. But man, what a race so far. And again, Shad played his cards perfectly, right? To be up there, to get up to the front, and to not look back, let everything unfold behind you. That's a way to go out there and to really contend. Again, he comes into the weekend with a long shot, 310. I think it's almost out of the question, right, as far as championship goes for Brady Shad with the year he's had. I think a DNF at the end of the opening weekend after leading. And again, Shad, just a lot of work to do for him here this weekend to put himself even in the top 3 of the championship. Antonino doing his best in 6th. Abernathy, what a way to regain spots from the pole, go all the way back to the edge of the top 10, got himself up. And for Antonino as well, who's ran the whole season, 2nd at the opening round, a win at round number 2 and a 3rd place. I mean, he's had a year, period. He's finished on the podium every single round, hasn't finished outside of the top 3, period, right? This has been a great year for John Antonino, and then when you look at the final round, just really needs a good weekend, a better weekend than Ben Abernathy. He can't afford to lose anything here at that, but we'll see what Buddy can do as we get over the halfway point of this race. We're just at the closing stages of the opening heat here in KA Junior, but again, I feel like we finally now have a moment to breathe, have a moment to decompress of everything that happened so early in this race, right? So many storylines that you want to tell. With Brandon on you know, a home weekend, with John as far as championship goes, with Nolan as well getting himself up there at the front. But it's hard with all the battling that we saw that early.
Yeah, it kind of was intensity ramping up quickly to the point where it was to the detriment of the long-term planning of the race. Obviously, in the moment, you're thinking, trying to make the pass, but that's, again, where that discussion on racetrack comes into play, where you have to settle it in and focus on the big picture long-term once things clear up. And right now, things have settled to the point where I've been curious about how Nolan's race has gone so far. Already getting swarmed by Siraki again. Had within bits of contact, one of the drivers that's raced at tracks like Daytona at the national level, one of the drivers that recently raced in the USPKS, now getting archie-barchie. Siraki giving the elbows out, crossing up for 13 and squeezing into the grass. No love lost here in Wisconsin.
Yeah, Siraki able to go through for fourth. That was a great pass there out of Brandon to get through, and again, just looking to get by on Isaac Nolan, who, again, you look back at one of the previous rounds he's had so far in the year, the 8:15. We saw him out at Road America and didn't have the best of weekends. Actually finished inside of the top 10, but again, he hasn't been where we're seeing him now, right? Running up at the front, being consistent, being a factor, being one of the key players here. Again, now you're seeing more drivers, right? You talk about Brandon, the year he's had so far. It's been consistent to be in the championship fight, but hasn't even finished on the podium in 2025. And now you look back to a home race weekend for him. And again, we've seen his dad be busy as well, the home team for the program for Franklin. His grandfather's been on site all weekend, working, making sure it's up to par, making sure it's up to their standards. And, this kid's kind of been moving quietly, silently, if you will, throughout the year. And here on home weekend, right, on a birthday for him at the racetrack, a place where he loves being at most. And that's great for him and for Ben Abernathy as well, right? You look back to Road America on another one of the home weekends he had here at Route 66. Just unfortunate with that DNF where we lost half of the field before the main event with the number of carburetors that flooded before that race. And again, he lost it just on a DNF, and he was able to win over at the start of the year when we went to K1 Circuit Whiteland, and this is what's kept him in the conversation. This is what's kept him in the championship, and this weekend as well. Drives like this, being consistent, and again, not losing your head when stuff doesn't go your way early on. This is why we see this kid be up at the front so far. And again, look at the year he's had so far, right? You talk about the DNF at Road America. You talk about the race win over at K1 Circuit Whiteland. You talk about a race win at Norway as well. So this is huge, right? You talk about bounce back, comeback stories, if you will, and he's had that so far, and he's going to have to claw at it if he wants to be within a shot at a championship here. And this is a great way to start heat race number 1. This is a great way to start the weekend, a pole position. This could be a heat race P2 if it stands. And again, look where Antonino is on the track as well, only 6th, and he's been hard at work as well, right? Trying to bring a championship over to the MPG Academy boys here in 2025 with Chase Jones and Billy Vincent. But nonetheless, I mean, it's anybody's game going into tomorrow, Justin.
Especially since, here's the thing I've been keeping an eye on with the race itself. Abernathy's times, he's the fastest car on the racetrack right now. By about a half a tenth to a tenth a lap. If it wasn't for that fluttering off the start where it put him into the hornet's nest, there's a strong chance he's leading, if not battling back and forth with Shad right now. That just shows how important those starts we've talked about all weekend have been. I'm looking up there.
It's make or break.
Exactly. If you don't get the make, well, it can break you. And by the way, Abernathy in the midst of a lot of the battle passes was faster than Chad in traffic. So Abernathy's definitely got a cart for tomorrow that, as long as he's able to avoid what happened to start Heat 1, should be good for Heat 2 in the final.
Yeah, it's something to keep an eye on as well when we head into Sunday here this weekend. And that's the one we're going to keep an eye on. This battle for third as Isaac Nolan goes all the way low. Antonino looking to go through on Brandon Siraki, who's on the outside now. Nolan on the inside. Antonino going to take advantage of Siraki opening up the door and going to work his way through for P5. Siraki currently 6th. Everybody else single file. And again, 2 laps to go. Shad, again, he hasn't had the best of years, right? A DNF over at K1 Circuit Whiteland, put himself, I believe, further down the order at Road America, where he just finished 4th there or thereabout, and then again, finally able to get himself onto the steps of the podium, where he finished 2nd out at Norway. And this weekend, this is a great way to start things off here in KA Juniors. One driver up ahead. Isaac Nolan drops the tire into the grass, and everybody else going to get stacked up. Antonino hasn't made much headway, but when you look out in front, again, we talked about Shad, the pace he's had so far today, and it's going to continue into tomorrow. But Adam Abernathy, one of the quickest drivers we've seen on the racetrack, Justin.
Going to be flying tomorrow, to say the very least, as they make the way through. Nolan doing a good job holding on to the 4th spot. all while these drivers make their way through the final sectors to close out this run. Nolan keeps the buffer within a kart length over Antonino. Antonino not able to claw back as Shad come across to take the checker flag. Shad, Ray gets the chance to celebrate.
Yeah, Brady Shad, your winner here in heat race number 1 in KA Junior. Benham Abernathy Championship drive out of the 897 to finish second. Ascend Dramaliev, Isaac Nolan, Antonino to Saraki, Brewer, Majeski, Baldus. He got himself up to the top 10. That was a great drive out of Jackson Baldus. I know his cousin Derek Proctor, I believe, uncle, if you will, Derek Proctor here with him on the wrenches for him this weekend inside of the top 10. Tucker Treed there as well. It's a good recovery out of Tucker to put himself into the mix. But what a race, right? You almost have to catch your breath after that one, but Brady Shad, I mean, this is huge for this kid right on home soil, like many others. It's going to be a close race when we head into Sunday. One more race left before we head into the cookout and the after activities post-race today, your 206 Masters coming up next.
You know, I'm really starting to like this go-karting thing.
Yeah, me too. Oh my gosh, can I show you this cute dress I just got?
Yes, of course. Oh my goodness, it's so cute.
I just love shopping.
I love shopping too.
Oh my god.
Wait, did you guys say you like shopping?
Of course.
Well, dude, I have the perfect place to do that at. ShopPayCara.com. At ShopPayCara.com, you can get free shipping on orders $200 or more. You can get anything you want, like MXC rims, gloves, rib vests, shoes, anything that you need, all at ShopPayCara.com.
Who is he talking to?
No idea.
But we're gonna have to check it out. Sounds like a great deal.
Sure does.
Florida Kart Racers, you asked for it and we're going to bring it. Introducing Florida Karting Championship, FLKC, a brand new racing series coming to Florida in 2026.
206 Masters presented by Greyhound Racing Seats, ready to take their seat at the table on who's going to be able to win this race. There are 2 karts in this race. Lucas Rennick is going to be on the pole here with Kostner Kaminsky alongside. The difference between the two of them was about 1.2 seconds in qualifying. So they'll get to race it on out and be able to see mano a mano what they can do. We'll let the sounds breathe for this race to see where they shape up. Thumbs up. The drivers are happy. Are you happy? Remember, cookout, awards, as well as cornhole coming up here on property after this race. Side by side as they come up to the start box. Green flag is out. We're underway. And a clean start for Rennick. Rennick is clear. What will he do now to try and pull off and away as Kaminsky tries to keep it close? Cross flags up in the stand. Rennick continues to lead by a substantial margin of more than 4 seconds. 601 machine has been consistently being able to set times lap after lap. Compared to the last lap, some of the laps have seen increases as high as 0.7 of a second from your championship leader. And all Rennick needs to do essentially is make sure no issues with the kart. He'll be able to celebrate a championship here in this series. So for Rennick, it's just about finishing the race. Score the points, and we'll check that box over Kaminsky as the kart continues to fly. Strong day in the office for Rennick in this one. Able to pull away from the rest of the pack. Well, from Kaminsky by more than 8 seconds. All Rennick needs to do is keep it on the racetrack. Anything can happen. But a dominant run in heat number 1, the 206 Masters, goes to Rennick. Rennick comes out of the final corner and takes the checker flag to win here in Wisconsin. Kaminsky will finish 8 seconds back. Kart's able to finish off on its own power as Rennick gets to celebrate for the victory kill.
Yeah, we thank you guys for joining us here on this Saturday of championship weekend at Route 66. It's been a successful 25 for us. We're excited to be back. And again, one more day left tomorrow on Sunday from all of us here at Kart Chaser. And again, I want to give a huge shout out as well to our crew here this weekend. Michael and Willem out on the cameras on the track. They brought us some great angles all day long. Hunter Bolton in here on the switches. Riley Kane has been hard at work fixing all the audio issues and Wi-Fi issues we had throughout the day. So a huge shout out to them, to you, Justin, to the entire Kart Chaser crew. And back at home, hard at work as well, bringing this on, putting this on for you guys, and as well for the entire Route 66 team. We thank you guys for joining us on this wonderful Saturday. We'll see you bright and early tomorrow morning on Championship Sunday at 8 a.m. Thank you guys for joining us. We'll see you tomorrow.
This broadcast is the sole property of Kart Chaser Group, LLC. Any rebroadcast, reproduction, or other use of the images, audio, or accounts of this event, in whole or in part, without the expressed written consent of Kart Chaser Group, LLC is strictly prohibited. Thanks for watching. This broadcast is the sole